And I see this I see this herd of horses run past me in what can only be described as Montanan fashion.
I didn't know it at the time, but I met you when your dad shot me an email and asked if we would assemble your bike that he was going to ship here because you were going to K College.
Yeah.
Thought, yeah, sure, we'll assemble a bike. That sounds great. And then you rolled up a few years later looking for work.
Yep. And here I am.
Here you are. Here you are. So, let's talk about what you did last summer, riding across America.
Yeah. Last summer, I got to do my first tour, which was amazing. I did it with Bike and Build, which is an organization that works to engage young adults in the affordable housing cause through cross-country cycling trips. So me and 35 of my closest friends, who were strangers at the time, rode from Portsmouth, New Hampshire to Bellingham, Washington. And along the way, we'd essentially ride for a week, and then we'd stop in a place and we would work with various affordable housing affiliates. So Habitat for Humanity, Rebuilding Together, that sort of thing. So that was awesome. It ended up being over 4,000 miles. I think that is one of like the pinnacle experiences of cycling for me was that trip, and realizing that, you know, for me, my bike is my form of transportation in town, but it can also be a way to travel, and that was a beautiful experience to have. So
nice.
Yeah. It was pretty neat. Lots of tears, lots of mountains, but also just lots of smiles. I mean, it was the most incredible 3 months, and I can't wait to do it again someday.
Nice. Yeah, so we talk about this every now and again, but maybe not so much. We talk about how fun it is to ride a bike, all this stuff. But you get yourself in situations where you get to experience all of the emotions.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it can happen over the span of 10 miles. I mean, there'll be like misery, and then there'll be just the purest joy. I mean, nothing makes me happier than being on my bike. And then you'll have these really beautiful moments of connection with the people you're riding with, and also you'll go through the feeling of just wanting to be completely alone, and wondering how you got yourself in with all these strangers. But yeah, it can be, I mean, cycling for me is a really beautiful thing, but I think this summer I also learned that it can be incredibly challenging, and it can push you to limits that you didn't even know you had. So.
Nice.
Yeah. Nice.
So let's talk about the activities of 3 weekends ago.
Oh. So 3 weekends ago, I guess it started a while ago, I walked into the shop and you said, hey, you want to race fat bikes? And without even thinking about it, I was like, heck yeah. I'd never ridden a fat bike besides around this parking lot once or twice. I've never even been mountain biking. Completely out of my realm of expertise, but I said, why not? So we showed up to the fat bike relay in Three Rivers, Michigan, and yeah, we had one heck of a time.
It was a good time.
Yeah.
It was a good time. Yeah, somebody said, yeah, you won. I said, well, you know, Ryan and Ben kind of won.
Yeah.
Kalyn and I kept us from losing.
We were, yeah, that's right. No, it was awesome, and it was cool to see this other side of the bike community here in Michigan. It's something I've never had the opportunity to experience just because of like for financial reasons for me. I can't afford a bike like that, so it was really cool to be like given the opportunity to have that and to experience that and get to see what that's like. And I met some really incredible people and found a new hobby. So.
It's very fun.
Yeah.
It's very fun. So you have worked at Open Roads for a while now. Tell me about that. I mean, I know about it, but let's talk about it.
Yeah, so let's see, I've been at Open Roads for almost 3 years, going on this June. And I first started there as an intern through K College. I wanted to stay in Kalamazoo the summer out of my first year, and I saw this internship and I thought, hey, I love to ride my bike everywhere, and I'm really good with working with kids. I had taught youth before. So I applied for it, and I mean, it was like love at first sight. I got my hands on tools and I got to learn all these skills that I've always wanted to learn, but I didn't get to grow up playing with tools and whatnot. So I got the opportunity to do that, and I got to get my hands dirty, and I got to feel what it's like to go home after a long day of like working hard, and maybe most things don't work out right, but you end up fixing some person's bike and they're just overjoyed about it. And I was in love with it from there and have just stuck with it since then. So that's where I started picking up some various mechanic skills taught to me by people who have been teaching themselves and that sort of thing. And that's really given me an appreciation for the community of Kalamazoo and just what's happening here. I think there are so many incredible organizations, and to be a part of one is really fulfilling. And it's cool to me that bikes are a really integral part of that and can be, especially in this town. I think they have a way of bringing people together that you just don't find with other things. So yeah, Open Roads has been really good to me. It's been amazing to watch them grow. And
They
grow
have
with
had
them.
they've had exceptional growth in the last few years.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I mean, we're getting to the point where we're outgrowing our space right now, and that's really exciting to see happening. So I've just been so grateful to have had that opportunity and to be able to find this passion of mine. I mean, I've fallen in love with community work and with mechanic work and with bikes, and Open Roads was sort of the start of that for me.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So let's talk about the scholarship you won.
Yeah.
Just briefly. So you'd been working here for about an hour.
Yeah.
I think.
Or something like that.
Something like that. And I received an email from one of our vendors that said,
Quality Bicycle Parts, which is the top parts provider in the world, has this really cool scholarship it's specifically for women, but also for gender queer and trans folks in the mechanic industry. So people who are generally pretty underrepresented in mechanics.
Pretty underrepresented.
But really underrepresented.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, really underrepresented. I mean, it's kind of common knowledge when you walk into a shop. So yeah, they offer the scholarship for folks to go out to Ashland, Oregon and study at UBI, which is United Bicycle Institute. They're one of the top mechanic schools in the area. Yeah, so I'll go out there and study with them for 2 weeks and get to learn some really cool stuff. It's an amazing opportunity, and I'm just like beyond humbled to have gotten it. I think I really love the mechanics, but I love it so much, but I think my passion really lies with doing something with that and with engaging with others and opening up these discussions about how we can make the bike industry a more equitable place for everyone. And I think this is going to be a really amazing opportunity for me to do that, for me to meet these other folks who are doing that sort of work in their shops and their communities, and for us to say, look, what are the main problems that are going on right now, and how can we be voices for people that don't always have a voice? So I'm over the moon about the scholarship. To me, it's more than just, learning how to do all these cool mechanic things from people that have been doing it for years and years. For me, it's about connecting with these other folks. And it's about looking at where we are and saying, what can we be doing better? And how can we be encouraging and uplifting people? So I'm really excited to see where it takes me. I think receiving that scholarship made me realize that this is what I want to do, and that this is what I'm, sort of meant to be doing right now. So I'm just beyond humbled by, getting offered that scholarship through Quality Bicycle Parts. It's just going to be an amazing experience. So I can't wait till October. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds very, very good.
Yeah.
Very good. So you will be graduating from K in a short period of time, right?
Yep. Not that anybody's counting.
You got your foot off the gas yet, or are you still?
Oh no, I'm still pushing through to the end. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I'll be graduating in June, which is really exciting. And I'll be here, which is even more exciting to me.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
We're all very fired up about that.
This is great.
This is great.
this summer, I was riding my bike somewhere in nowhere, Montana. And it was one of those mornings where I woke up at 4 a.m. and the last thing I wanted to do was get on my bike. I was sore, I was tired, I was under-caffeinated. I'm sure I couldn't get enough food in my body to keep myself going. But of course, when you're touring, you gotta wake up and go. There's no deciding you're gonna take the day off. So I get on my bike in the morning and there are winds howling in your face so hard that I am going downhill and I did not break double digits once. I mean, we're talking like 8 miles an hour going downhill, pedaling as hard as I could. It started out just one of the most defeating feelings. And I've got 3 other people behind me, and they're also miserable, and they don't want to be on their bikes, and the last thing they want to do is be leading in order to make things easier for everybody. So I say, all right, I'm just going to put my head down, and we're going to try and get through this, because sometimes cycling isn't always fun, and sometimes it is about just putting your head down and getting through it. So I decide that's what we're going to do. And after about 30 miles of that, and I mean, this took hours. This took absolute hours. After about 30 miles of that, we come across this tiny diner. I think we were going into Chinook, Montana. And we walk into this diner and we sit down and have just the most amazing breakfast. I mean, it's one of those places that you're only gonna come across if you're riding a bike. And you happen to see it and say, all right, I can pull over. This is way easier than pulling over in a car. I don't have to find anywhere to park. I can just lean this up against the side. So we walk in and I eat an omelet the size of my face. And I must have had like 5 or 6 cups of coffee. And I'm starting to get feeling back in my fingers because the wind was so cold. And it was like a new leaf was turned over. I felt reborn. I had this energy in my legs that I didn't have before. And before we walked in the diner, I mean, I was like next to tears. I was so frustrated. But we leave, and all of a sudden the route changes directions. And the wind is at our backs now. And for anybody that's ever ridden a bike with a tailwind that strong, it feels like you're flying. I mean, you can go 25 miles an hour and not even break a sweat over it. It really is the closest to flying you can ever get. And I start looking around me and I realize that the landscape is just this otherworldly experience. The Great Plains are something else. It looks like this Martian territory. And I see this herd of horses run past me in what can only be described as Montanan fashion. And we're climbing.
It's like a Chevrolet commercial.
It is. I mean, it is something else. We start climbing up and up and up. And then all of a sudden you crest through this butte and we have this descent that makes it look like you're about to fall off the face of the earth. And I have this moment where I realize that the happiest I am ever going to get is on my bicycle. And that ended up being one of the best rides of my life. And it started out just in abject misery. I mean, if somebody told me I could put up my bike and never have to ride again, I would have. But that ended up being one of the happiest experiences of my life. And I do believe it was only possible because I was on my bicycle.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. That's great. And that's one of those things we were talking about earlier. Mm-hmm. When you get to feel all the emotions. Sometimes when you're dug in.
Yeah. When
you pull out of that,
mm-hmm.
it's unbelievably.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's this penumbra around it. This glow.
It's liberating. I mean, it's pushing yourself to what you thought was your limit and then to keep going. I mean, that does something to a person. I really believe that. I mean, it does. It does something.
Oh, I think
you're
right. I remember lining up one morning to do this thing, and this gal I knew, she was doing it with us. She said, "This will change you." Shit.
Yeah.
I don't know that I came to this to be changed.
Yeah. But here I am nonetheless. Yeah, and that's the thing about bikes is like, I don't know, at least for me, I ride a lot, but I mean, part of me changes. Every time I get on, I just let myself go, and I could be thinking about absolutely nothing. In fact, I'm one of those people that gets on their bike and their brain just goes empty. I thought this summer I was gonna have all these like incredible periods of reflection, but for the most part, I was just, mind clear. But at the end of the day, there's part of you that, I don't know, learns to appreciate your body a little bit more and appreciate the people around you and the world around you a little bit more. Yeah, and that's really cool. I don't think there's anything else that can do that.